What is going on, YouTube? It's Jack, and guess what? October 30th, we just had a huge update for Call of Duty Black Ops 4, and I am talking huge. We have multiplayer, we have blackout, we have zombies, we have balancing, we have spawns, we have a whole bunch of stuff to get through, so let's go ahead and jump right in. First things first, they talk about gun game being added, so we have gun game, but I'll get to that in a little bit more detail in a second. However, we're going to talk about spawns. Spawns, obviously, overall. We got weapons, specialists. It's just a whole lot. Like, here's the Reddit post. Obviously, I'm going to put the link down in the description because there's a whole lot that if you want to go read it, by all means, go have fun. But I'm just going to try to break it down for you so you guys can kind of just get the gist of it real quick and as fast as possible. And so we're going to start with gun game being added, but no parties allowed. So it's basically a mercenary gun game mode, so you're going to have to go in by yourself. Same thing with mercenary deathmatch, which is just TDM, kill confirmed. No parties. Chaos Domination, which is just going to be frantic frag fest because you got 3-second captures, 150 seconds per round, and it's 6v6. That's just going to be nuts. So go have fun with that. Hardcore TDM, hardcore kill confirmed. It's jumped up to 6v6. So it's going to be a couple more guys to kill on each team. 2 specialist limit, so you can still use your own specialists, but the whole team can't be the same guy or girl. Assault rifles. Okay, so here's where we're getting to the meat and potatoes of things. What happened in the update was that they dialed back assault rifles. Why? I don't know, but assault rifles were nerfed. SMGs were buffed a slight, just ever so slightly, just to provide the balance. However, the real big issue here, well, not issue, the real change is that the assault rifles were nerfed. Now, assault rifles were meant to be the go-to gun. They even mention it at the top of the post because they talk about assault rifles right here being the default go-to weapon class. Well, of course they are. They're the most versatile. However, with the slight nerf to all these guns, you're going to end up having to play them a little bit differently. The ICR, with the reduced headshot damage and the slight reduction of the reload speed, it's going to be your anchor gun. Now, I know it's kind of always been the anchor gun in terms of like how everybody's playing it, but now you're not going to be able to be as versatile with it. It's still going to shoot lasers, but you're going to have to play a little bit further back because that's what it's meant to do. Now, as for the Vapor, my personal favorite, it actually kind of reduced the headshot damage, which is unfortunate because that's kind of where you win those gunfights up close. Damage falls off sooner, which means I can't shoot as far. So now it's even more of an SMG just in the assault rifle class. So why would I use the Vapor when I could use a buffed assault rifle like the SMG like the GKS? And high caliber was reduced headshot multiplier. So now there's no 3-hit kill, which is, again, unfortunate, which pretty much eliminates the Vapor out of the meta in my mind, because now if you're going to use a Vapor class, you might as well just use a submachine gun instead. Now let's get into the submachine guns, because now that's where the buffs actually happen, because they tweaked them just a little bit to make them more competitive in terms of across the board to the ARs. Mobility being a strength, speeding across the map, all that good stuff, you know the deal, that's why they are, but they struggle to compete because of their damage. Well, the MX9 was extended all damage ranges, and the high caliber was reduced to headshot multiplier. So now you're not going to be able to get the headshots with the SMG, but it's going to be better across the board damage-wise. So you're not going to really have the damage fall off as much as you would think. Cordite, same thing, extended all damage ranges. But then, of course, the belt operator feed increased the overrate heat. So now they're operator mod if you use operator mods, but you don't in competitive anyway, so it doesn't really matter. The operator mod would increase the overheat, so you're not going to be able to use it as long. GKS, the quad shot operator, slight increase. Okay, so it's more of a burst gun when you use the operator mod, but that's it. Other than that, the GKS is still the same, which is why I said I think the GKS is going to replace the Vapor in most cases, as well as the SOG, because the SOG is still completely the same, other than the dual wielding. And if you're dual wielding SOGs, like, you're just going to have fun and just go off. And then, of course, we get to the TAC rifles. Now, TAC rifles were obviously meant to be the anchor guns. They are the designated marksman rifles, right? Like, they are the DMRs kind of things, right? They buffed the ABR to be more competitive because, obviously, the Auger was just far and above better, as well as the Swordfish. So, instead, they just decided to take those two guns, leave them fairly much the same, but the ABR got a little bit of an increase. So, you got maximum damage range was increased. The operator mod takes a little longer to accelerate because it was that repeater where you end up just firing it almost at a full auto rate eventually. And stock, slight reduction because, again, it is a rifle, so they didn't want the rifle to play as fast as some of the SMGs or assault rifles for that matter, so you end up not being able to move it when you're aiming down the sights as fast. But that's really it for the ABR. Swordfish kind of reduced the high caliber, so unfortunately, just because it's a 4-shot burst, you're going to have to hit all 4 headshots instead of missing one of those out of the burst in order to get a headshot kill. And the Penta burst reduced the extra granted clip size. Okay, so you're still getting the 5-shot, but you're not getting the extra ammo in each clip. But other than that, the Swordfish is still exactly the same, which basically means you're not getting any recoil out of any of the bursts. Sniper rifles. Sniper rifles, pretty much what they did, they just decided to take the Paladin, because the Paladin was by far the best sniper rifle, and they kind of tweaked it just a little bit, basically hitting the lower torso on a full TAC 5, which means somebody uses this crash specialist on you. It's no longer one-hit kill, FMJ2, improved damage against score streaks, which is nice, and you can hold your breath sooner after a previous held breath with Stabilizer 2, which is also cool. But it's the other snipers that got the boost in terms of damage and buffs, because they wanted to make the other snipers feel more competitive compared to the Paladin. So you got the Outlaw, increased damage from 110 to 130, reduced idle sway, which actually was across the board. We're giving all the rifles reduced idle sway, so giving that is just something that the Paladin even gets, which is kind of cool. SDM, clip size from 10 to 12, damage stayed the same on that, but the Koshka went from 120 to 140, and the stock got a slight increase, which is actually kind of nice for a sniper rifle to have a nice little stock to actually have some movement speed. Light machine guns, pretty much they just decided to take all the light machine guns and nerf them just a little bit, because the light machine guns were just way too powerful, especially if you're able to get headshots. So they reduced hipfire accuracy, reduced headshot damage. They reduced movement speed while firing, reduced damage. They took the crossbar operator mod and reduced the movement speed. They took the steady grip and improved the recoil recognition, so now you're actually going to know how you're recoiling with your Hades. Pistols, slight reduction to ADS and transition speed for all pistols. So, especially if you're playing Heist, guess what? You're going to be able to aim down your sights faster across the board. Garrison, basically that little burst, you're going to have to wait a little bit longer between the bursts, but the reload speed is quicker, which is also nice. Shotguns, okay. Now, shotguns are a problem, personally, but they did nerf them, so that's kind of cool. The choke barrel for the MOG is reduced range for the one-hit kill. Dragon Breath, that's the shotgun with the fire and the flames, all that cool stuff. Resolved an issue where it triggered incorrect visuals. Ooh, but it still works the same. SG-12, yeah, that's right. You got the flashlight, but the flashlight actually only is a problem because it removes your auto aim on anybody. It's nothing to do with the light itself causing you to miss your shots, but it did actually make it to where they're reducing the range. So the light isn't going to affect you at longer ranges, which is cool, which means that you're still going to be able to shoot them even when they're like across the map flashing a light in your eyes. Attachments across the board, they kind of tweaked them a little bit. Grip 2, flinch mitigation was reduced, so you're going to feel a little bit more flinch when you're using Grip 2, which is another reason why I said the ICR is going to be really used more as your anchor gun now, and you're not going to be able to run and gun as much. Suppressor, reduced damage fall off, which is really cool, which means you could actually use a suppressor and not feel like you're pigeonholed into only up-close engagements. Reduced ADS recoil for the Hollow, the dual zoom, the recon, and because of all that, you're going to be able to use those sights a little bit more just because the ADS recoil isn't going to be as much, but the ELO did get increased, which is unfortunate because I really like the ELO. Now we're going to get into specialists. Now, all the specialists were tuned mostly for balance. They pretty much stayed the same with a couple of minor tweaks just to kind of even things out, because there were a few that were just far and away used more frequently. Ajax, obviously the shield, but the shield stayed the same. The only thing that changes is you're taking damage from explosions now, a little bit more. Nomad, the dog used to just go on his own, and just send the dog on its way and get kills, but its health was reduced by 10%. That's trying to encourage the player to be by their dog. Crash is great, but they didn't really like the fact that everybody used Crash to farm kill streaks or score streaks, so they reduced the amount you get for each teammate used packs out of the ammo box from 50 to 25, so it's going to slow your kill streaks down a little bit. Firebreak, pretty much just boosted Firebreak. That's great. Recon basically just made the sensor dart last a little less just because it was just so long on the map unless it got destroyed. Torque, increased earn rate for your barricade, increased hit points with barricade. So barricade's going to last longer now Congratulations. The most annoying part of Torque is going to be even more annoying. Profit sniper rifle, increase projectile speed and increase the chain distance. So that's kind of cool. It gives that gun a little bit more of an ability to actually be used beyond just using Profit for the Seeker Mine. Okay, now we're going to get into the really cool part. Spawns. Spawns were adjusted across the board. Like, literally everything. Spawns were tuned. Team Deathmatch, Domination, Hardpoint, and Free-For-All and Control. You name the map, like Slum, Summit, Militia, Firing Range, Gridlock, Payload, Hacienda, Contraband. Spawns were adjusted across the board universally, which has been kind of a complaint. So I would say look for more spawn flipping. Look for the ability to actually not get spawn trapped as frequently, especially in control type modes like Domination or Hardpoint or Control. And you'll actually end up being able to spawn swap and actually catch people not thinking about that as much, which is nice. Free-for-all as well. But that's a really nice little adjustment because spawns were a severe problem. We got gear. Stim Shot increased the time to heal. Well, Stim Shot was really powerful and probably the most straightforward to use, so they just made it a little slower. Resolved an armor issue. Acoustic sensor range was reduced, which is nice because the acoustic sensor was way too strong. Dead silence in terms of perks, they actually reduced the player movement volume because the goal is not for dead silence to be completely silent. I mean, that sounds weird to say, but dead silence apparently is not supposed to be completely silent. But it's also not to allow enemies to hear your movement from longer distances. Engineer, extraction, helicopter, and heist can no longer be seen by the engineer. Some score streak stuff like Mantis and the Dart increase explosion radius damage. You can throw a second dart when earning 2 dart score streaks. Oh, that's cool. Strike team kills will not be count towards owner's kills without dying medals. Prevented strike team kills from contributing towards owner's kills with... Oh, so you will get dying medals now, I think. Gameplay. Reduced ranges for long shot medals for assault rifles, tac rifles, submachine guns, and light machine guns. That means go get your diamond camos. Everybody, go get your diamond camos while the long shot medals are short and before they realize that it's no longer a challenge. Resolved an issue where the hard stop challenge could be reset, so that's fixed. Marksman Mastery challenge would not give the 10,000 XP. So if you get Marksman Mastery, you'll get 10,000 XP. No longer crouch or go prone while performing a gesture. Okay, so they fixed the gesture issues. Increased XP rate in Heist. Heist already gives a nice amount of XP personally. So that's even better for me. And anybody else who plays Heist for that matter. Increased amount of XP earned per kill in Free-For-All. That's cool. So Free-For-All gets a little bit of a boost. In general, Silent Plant in custom games will now be completely silent. And then they just kind of tuned a couple maps, especially like some head glitches and stuff like that, mostly to prevent spawn camping, like Icebreaker, Slums. And then they fixed theater mode. You're not going to be able to watch some of your films that you might have had in there because they completely scrubbed everything and kind of tweaked it. And they added a watermark, so when you're in theater mode and you post a clip, you'll know it was in theater mode because they kind of got annoyed at the fact that people were showing clips where bullets were missing and be like, hey, look at me, why are these bullets not hitting? That's because of the slow-mo in theater mode. Audio resolved an issue with footsteps being muffled when they shouldn't be. And that's just regular multiplayer. Now here's for Blackout. We got some playlist updates. So 100 player solos, 88 players now maximum for duos and quads. Hopefully that fixes some of the lag issues and the latency. They fixed some audio to make sure that your teammates' footsteps are quieter, adjusted footsteps for all armor types, resolved an issue occasionally caused footsteps. Armor now allows more damage to pass through them in key areas such as the head and upper chest. Character missions for the rest of the specialists were also unlocked for Blackout. Item found notifications were changed, so increase the brightness. Some calling card challenges like the Dark Ops stuff will now actually give you the unlocks. Resolved an issue with the altimeter. Could disappear during infiltration, which is nice. That's just some basic stuff. Resolved an issue allows players to shoot through rocks, so they fixed that. Oh, by the way, grass is going to look better, so that's really cool. Zombies increased XP rate for hardcore and realistic. Blood of the Dead fixed the problem with the Easter egg quest. Fixed an issue where you get tossed outside on 9. Fixed an issue applying clan tags, and pretty much just a bunch of general assessment and quality of life stuff for zombies, especially for some of the maps in general. You can now invite players who are online but not on Call of Duty to an in-game party. That's nice because now you can actually see people. Hey, he's online. I can just actually invite him and not wait for him to get there. Resolve an issue where weapon camos would overlap optics. That's cool. It's nice that they acknowledge that and fixed it pretty quickly. You'll be able to do your paint jobs. Your gun rack will now appear. Resolve an issue where emblems for other players would not be proper resolution. General stability fixes and performance improvements across multiplayer Blackout and Zombies. So that's pretty much the entire update. I mean, obviously you could read it if you want, but I think I did a pretty solid job just kind of summing up all the key stuff, at least the key stuff personally to me, and how it kind of affects the meta and all that good stuff. But that's really it. It's like a 12 gig update, so if you haven't downloaded it yet, I highly recommend downloading it, especially if you don't have the fastest internet speed in the world, because it might take some time if you do want to play it tonight or next time you hop online. But other than that, guys, make sure you guys hit up all the social media stuff. I'll drop it down in the description below, as well as a link to this Reddit post so you can read it in full if you so choose. But until next time, guys, I am out.